So good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming and joining to the webinar on EU funds for age-friendly environment initiatives. So demographic change is a challenge for all, and many are already implementing actions related to age-friendly environments. But what are the European funding opportunities available that can support your work and help you implement them? So today we welcome 3 speakers from DGs that will try to explain what is available to you at the EU level. So we have Evelyn from DG Sanko. Hi, Evelyn. She will present a tool that is tracking calls available on EIP, AHA, so European Innovation Partnership on Active and Healthy Aging, and what has been done to create synergies with financing instruments in the EIP. Our second speaker is Horst from DG Connect, and he will explain the current and future funding opportunities. And finally, Annette from DG Employment will talk about the age-friendly measures that member states can take in the framework of the European Social Funds. So Evelyn, whenever you're ready, we can start with you. I will upload your presentation. And also, I remind you the session is recorded. The link will be made available to everyone, and the presentations will be sent later on. The questions, there will be time dedicated at the end of the presentations and at the end of the whole webinar if you want to ask your questions. Evelyn, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Nu. So today we just give you an overview of some of the financial instruments from 2014 to 2020, which is the new financing period. Obviously, it's not exhaustive and we can't go into detail, so we just focus today on Horizon, and our colleague from DG Employment will focus on the European Social Fund. So just to give you an idea, in the European Innovation Partnership on Active and Healthy Aging, we've been working towards developing synergies between various financial instruments. This is nothing new, and we've been working on this since 2011 or so when we launched the partnership. So in the previous financial period, we had a number of instruments supporting actions, so to speak, in the innovation partnership. Obviously, the partnership was not set up to be a new financial instrument, so thus it was important that we tried to seek as much synergies between instruments we were working with anyway. And this has progressed onto the new financial period where we've developed these new financial instruments that will be up to 2020. I put this slide together to give you more an overview of instruments where we felt were relevant for active and healthy aging at EU level. Obviously, again, there could be a couple of programs that are also interesting, and we'll be developing more analysis on those as we go forward. But we have the JPI, More Years, Better Lives, and Horst is going to speak about that today. Also, the JPI, the ND on neurodegenerative disease research is interesting for some of the groups. The Active and Assisted Living Program, AAL2, so to speak, that's also relevant, especially for the age-friendly environments. Obviously, Horizon 2020, which is a number of interesting areas, not just in the societal challenges one on health, demographic change and well-being, but in other instruments as well. The IMI2, the Innovative Medicines Initiative. We've got the KIC, which is we'll be launching on the new KICs as well. Knowledge and Innovation Communities, one in December on relevant to active and healthy aging, and also the SME instruments and the new innovative financing instruments in Horizon are relevant to look at as well. Obviously, you've got the structural funds within that, European Regional Development Funds, the European Social Fund, which you hear about, And then we ourselves, we have our own third health program, which I'll present. And there are other instruments such as COSME and Erasmus Plus, two relevant calls, which I'll put up today as well. So these are the basic instruments we're looking at working with up to 2020. Obviously not exhaustive, there could be some others, but just to give you the frame. And this information we put up on the marketplace of the European Innovation Partnership on Active and Healthy Aging. And as I've mentioned, we've been working over the years on synergies with the different financial instruments. And with that, we try to develop some sort of relevant news feature with this list of open calls that could be relevant in the field of active and healthy aging. And that's on the marketplace again, but I'll come to that later as well. So to give you an idea, in the new financial framework, we will try to see more leveraging more innovation and financing. So you can see already work started with synergies with structural funds. So we in DG Sanco ourselves have put together guides for health investments in structural funds. We're also working on a toolkit for the links I've put there for developing health investments in structural funds. And we've got a project on mapping structural funds for health that we're currently working on. So they're just a number of tools that we're producing at the moment. Obviously, again, you are aware there was the document published on synergies between structural funds and Horizon 2020 as well. So just to look out for those in the future. We're looking at more innovative financing tools, as I mentioned. So this could be maybe looking at also what was done in the Covenant of Mayors, and the topic of alternative financing is also something that we're interested in looking at as well. So just to give you a brief overview of our own third health program, where we've a number of areas: health innovation, health system sustainability. So again, the work we're doing in the Innovation Partnership on Active and Healthy Aging would feature in this health program, and has done, where we've issued calls in 2014 already with the under this program. This third health program has now been integrated into the participant portal. So the first calls for 2014 that were closed in September, they were all via the participant portal. So that would be your main port of call for this. And we also have an agency who manages the health program and the calls for us. I just put their contact details as well. But something you should also be aware of, like in Horizon, where there's national contact points, we also have national focal points for the health program, which you should get in touch with as well. Who are there to support and build capacity or knowledge on the health program. So, as I mentioned, we in the partnership we would put up relevant news announcements on calls. We have this newsletter on relevant funding opportunities. So at the moment, these are two which are relevant, not from on COSME and Erasmus Plus for age-friendly environments. So is the sound better now?
I hear you perfectly, Evelyn. Maybe it's the outside sound. It's the wind.
Okay. 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 So, as I mentioned, these are just two relevant funding opportunities that we report on then in the marketplace as well. So one would be within COSME, and for those partners in the D4 action group on age-friendly environments within the innovation partnership, we had a person at our latest meeting who spoke about the tourism initiatives and referencing this call as well. So there's one currently on facilitating EU transnational tourism flows for seniors and young people in the low and medium seasons. And also, what is interesting at the moment is that Erasmus Plus have launched their call for proposals for 2015. The call text is available on that, but they're still putting up online on the website more information about how to apply. But there is a guide on Erasmus Plus funding, which I would encourage you then to read as well for that. So then, in terms of monitoring EU funding, obviously, as our help programme is integrated into the participant portal, and that's linked on Horizon 2020 is there. That is the main area to check. So these are more questions for you, the participants, as in, do you check the portal? In terms of the EIP marketplace, so the Innovation Partnership Marketplace, if you actually use the newsletters we put up, or how would you use it? So we would like some feedback on that. And in terms of funding guides, there have been guides, as I mentioned, produced. There's been a guide on tourism, SMEs, various other ones. And if you feel in the area of age-friendly environments, what guides are needed on that? So I put those 3 questions up, and maybe we can come back to them at the end as well. So I think I'll pass over to Horst now to discuss Horizon.
Who's in the same?
Okay, but Horst, your presentation is already uploaded, and
Thank you.
the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. As Evelyn said, I will talk about current developments in Horizon 2020, and I will also mention later on the joint programming initiative, More Years, Better Lives on Demographic Change. That is a member state-led initiative. So these 2 parts in my part of the webinar. So just as an overview, in the current framework program, and specifically in the work program for 2014 and 15, that is the current work program, we have relevant topics for health and aging mainly in what is called the societal challenge number 1, health, demographic change, and aging and well-being. Sorry. But also in other parts. So this is to illustrate that that it is always worthwhile to really thoroughly browse and search the opportunities and the calls on the participant portal that Evelyn mentioned already, as there are relevant topics not only in the sort of let's say natural habitat, which would be the societal challenge 1, but also in other parts. So Horizon 2020 in general has 3 pillars. One is called LATE, Leadership in Enabling Industrial Technologies. One is on excellent science, and one is the societal challenge-based one. The calls that I will talk about now mainly are in the societal challenge 1, but not exclusively. Sorry. So currently, opened in September, we have a call, a funding opportunity, which has another nice acronym, which is PHC, Personalized Health and Care, and there's number 21, which is on early risk detection and intervention. It is a research project. The funding instrument is called a Research and Innovation Action. And so this one deals with early risk detection and intervention, building on experiences that we have from previous projects in the earlier framework programs. So the last one was FP7, now we're in Horizon. And we are, the new aspect of Horizon is that we are thinking from the impact. So all the projects that we're calling for and the proposal we're calling for basically start with the impact that we're expecting. And this is also what you should take into account if you're considering if you should apply for one of those grants. So, sorry, I'm having trouble finding the right button. There we go. So the impact that we're expecting here has three main elements. One is as it's a research project, we want evidence for the benefits of risk detection and intervention for older people. So there has to be a proof of concept element in it. And as in all our calls now, we call for the integration and involvement of relevant stakeholders and especially end users. The second element of the impact is the individual improvement of the situation and the care situation of the person. And the third element is the sort of competitive element for research and industry in Europe. So this also corresponds to the three headline goals that we have in the European Innovation Partnership. So all proposals that are drafted should sort of aim at these three elements in the impact. For this particular topic, practical information, the deadline for submission of proposals is in April, on the 21st of April. We have a provisional budget of 20 million euros, and we expect the project sizes to be between 3 and 4 million. This is not a ceiling, so there can be bigger projects, but they can also be smaller. But this is what we expect. So basically, this will amount to 5 or 6 funded projects after this call is evaluated. And for those that have experience with grants, the proposals will be evaluated on a scale up to 15 points. And as thresholds used to be 10 points in many cases, we have lifted this threshold to 12 points. So because the Horizon has a new principle, which is different from FP7, which is the proposals are evaluated as they are submitted. So the evaluators, the external evaluators, do not have the opportunity to make requests for changes in the description of work as it is proposed. It is more or less a take it or leave it approach. So the initial threshold has to be higher in order to qualify for funding. If you want more information specifically on this topic, the link is here. This is the work program that describes all the topics in the call, and you can also ask questions to us, and we will publish these questions as frequently asked questions, because we have to be transparent and give everybody the same opportunity for information. So, but you can send questions on these calls to the email address that is on the slide. This is what it looks like on the participant portal. I think the participant portal is the information there that you get there is very comprehensive, but it takes a while to sort of learn how to find your way around the portal, but it's worthwhile spending the time. So to the second topic that is a currently open call focuses on integrated care. So we already had projects on this before, so they're ongoing projects. One of them, a well-known one, is the Smart Care project. This takes it further. It's also a research and innovation action. So there is a research element, which does not mean that there is not sort of an element of proof of concept, but it's not. It's a research project as opposed to, for example, a project that focuses on pilot implementations. Of course, as there is some progress already in the field of integrated care, this concentrates on. I see a question on the co-finance in PhD 21. It's a research and innovation action. It's 100% the rate. So I'll just answer this question right away. The same in PhD 25. where we have this sort of focus on integrated care and the care pathways, patient pathways, and sort of also the integration of social care and healthcare. As you see, we have an element of proof of concept, but it is research oriented. Again, starting from the impact, this is also in line with what we're aiming at in the European Innovation Partnership, so reduced admissions in states and care institutions, the quality of life, the improvement of quality of life, and efficiency in the care system, so that focuses, that aims at the sustainability of health and care systems. And of course, again, the competitive element of European ICT products and services. So this is what you should have in mind when preparing the proposal. The deadline is the same as for PHC 21. Single stage that applies to both, so there is no second round of proposals. And the budget is also 20 millions. The projects might be a little bit bigger than the ones for PHC 21, but that's a provisional assumption. And we have the same threshold of 12 points. Again, the link and view from the participant portal, and the link to the work program in general, and the link for questions. The address is the same. We have a sort of common Q&A FAQ document that we link on the participant portal. So the questions that we receive from you will be answered, and they will be published in this document, which is linked on the participant portal on the particular page of the call. And then I wanted to mention something that illustrates that we're not only looking at this Societal Challenge 1, but also in other parts of Horizon. And this specifically is a topic and a subtopic in the leadership in enabling industrial technologies part. So, and there specifically in the ICT part, the call is late ICT 10, which is known as collective awareness platforms. There was a similar call in FP7 in the late stages of FP7 already, so this is an existing sort of framework. But this subtopic called digital social platforms is a new one. And it was born more or less out of the idea of scaling up what we're doing in the European Innovation Partnerships, not only on active and healthy aging, but in general, that is building networks. And we want to find ways of sort of taking away barriers for participation in these sort of more bottom-up innovation networks. So enabling the participation of end users of new regions and local governments, for example, and also other stakeholders that would usually be not take part. So this little illustration of the people that were not on the platform before, and the platform is lowered, and then everybody is happy and participates. That is the sort of simplified idea of digital social platforms. As it is a research project as well, we want also a sort of that theoretical part that it enables transferability of the approaches taken. For example, if you wanted, if we're talking about taking away barriers, there could be something about a language barrier, for example. So, which would be an obstacle for some to participate in sort of cross-border social innovation initiatives. We have a particular focus here also on inclusion of social sciences and humanities, because questions like network building and relevance of research should be addressed also from this point of view, but not exclusively, because of course it's an ICT topic. We encourage proposals to build on existing ecosystems or existing networks, for example, like the ones we have in the European Innovation Partnership. But that is an optional element. So if you're interested in this one, as I said, it's called ICT 10 2015, and there's specifically the subtopic C, digital social platforms. and this basically summarizes what I've said. Focus on scaling up and ICT-enabled cooperative environments that increase participation in these networks and sort of enable social innovation. The main point here is that it's the first time that we're doing it, so that it has some sort of experimental character to it. And as it's the first time that we're doing it, we are funding it also with 100% as a research and innovation action. The aim is in future work programs to quite swiftly move to pilots and also to support actions, implementing the measures and the ideas that come about from the first round of projects that are proposed now. As for the deadlines, it's also in April. It's a week earlier than the other two calls. The projects are probably going to be a little bit smaller than what we're talking about. We only have 7 million euros for this one. But the good news is that the threshold for qualification of funding is lower with 10 points. And I also encourage you, if you have questions on this, to send emails. In this case, it will probably be me who gives the answer personally, so this should work. Again, a little QR code and the link to the participant portal. This is even a little bit more difficult to find because it's a subtopic of this collective awareness platforms topic. So those are the current calls that we have. Maybe before I go to the JPI, for those who are not aware, we are also at the moment in the process of preparing the next work program within Horizon 2020, so the one for 2016 and 17. We've had extensive stakeholder consultations this year, mainly over the summer, and this is being evaluated right now. The drafting of the work program 2016-17 will be done in the first half of next year, 2015. So once this is done later next year, you will also see the upcoming topics and calls in 2016 and 17. So watch out for that. Okay, so beyond Horizon 2020, something I wanted to mention is a member state-driven initiative, which is a joint programming initiative. That means a joint programming initiative, very briefly, is where the member states coordinate and align their national research programs and funding projections in a specific, also societal challenge. And there is one of these on demographic change. It's called More Years, Better Lives. And they have this year published a strategic research agenda, which is publicly available on the website. So if you Google it, it's easy to find. They name a number of priority topics there, and which also indicate upcoming joint calls that they will be launching. So basically what happens is that member states pool funding on specific topics that they have in their national research priorities, but they align and also synchronize their research projections. So for this specific one on demographic change, we currently have 50 member states, which they're not restricted only to EU member states. For example, Canada is a member. We have Turkey as an observer, and with Switzerland participating there, for example. They are led by a troika of Italy, Germany, and Finland, who share the chairmanship. And currently, the Joint Program Initiative are working on what they call a fast-track action on work and health. And that is an indicator already to what is coming up, and that's why I'm mentioning the whole thing. They are planning to launch a first joint call, which will be made public in March next year. And it will be in the field of aging in the workplace, health and aging in the workplace. I can't tell you the exact title yet, but this is something that is a funding opportunity that you should look into beyond Horizon 2020. This is the link to the website, so this should be monitored as well. Most likely, we will have a large event in March, on the 9th and 10th of March, is that correct? Yes. in Brussels, which we call an Active Aging Summit. The call will most likely be announced there as well. I don't know if it's the exclusive opportunity, but this is something that is an opportunity to know exactly what the call will be. And that, I think, yeah, wraps it up. So I could pass colleague in DG Employment.
So Horst, you're done with your presentations?
Yes, I think so.
Annette, if you're ready, we can start your presentation.
At the moment we got online. It's been working for an hour before, but I'm going to tell you a bit about what social funds are doing in terms of active aging. And in order to do that, I think I will have to start first with a general introduction to the ESF, but maybe I also need to set up a little bit the political connection, because the ESF regulation is taking its outset in the Europe 2020 policy strategy for the European Union, and also the European semester. So you know that, maybe you know that the Europe 2020 is the policy strategy for the European Union, and it has 4 guidelines from the integrated guidelines that are, these 4 guidelines are focusing on employment, social policy and education, just those that are called guidelines 7 to 10. And these are the basis for the policies that are made in the EU. And during the whole process, we have a European semester, as also mentioned in the title. And this one is a tool to look at what are the developments in the member states in these 4 areas. No, in the 3 areas, so social policy, education and employment. And on this basis, every year, there will be country-specific recommendations. And the country-specific recommendations are also analyzed every year. And therefore, there will be new recommendations based on what has been going on in the last year. And the reason why I tell you this is that there is a close link in the ESF regulation to the country-specific recommendations, as the ESF is supposed to support the Euro 2020, and is supposed to help the member states to achieve the objectives and the goals that are set in the Euro 2020 and their own challenges. And the European Social Fund is EU's key instrument for investing in people and systems in this way. And what is the main aim of the ESF is to improve employment opportunities, is to enhance the social inclusion and combat poverty. It's also to promote education and lifelong learning, and improve efficiency of public administration. You can see it as an expression of European solidarity. And what has been decided in this period, which goes from 2014 to 2020, is that 23.1% of the whole cohesion fund policy and the cohesion funds, there's a 23.1% of that goes to the ESF. And in the ESF, there is on top an earmarking of 20% to social inclusion at national level. So these are the new things. I will also tell you what are the areas, what are the sub-areas, because this is important for you to see how ESF is supporting various strands of the challenges in the member states. And I will get into more practical information a bit later, but I think you need to have this more general information. So the ESF is divided into 4 thematic objectives, and the first one is on promoting sustainable and quality employment and supporting labor mobility. And under this we have 7 what we call investment priorities, of which one of them is active and healthy aging, which is the second last on the slide. But there are also lots of other support possibilities, and active aging and being at the labor market or staying at the labor market when you get older can also be supported under other investment priorities. For example, you have the access to employment for job seekers and inactive people, where older people can also be under the long-term unemployed or being far from the labor market, but with a policy or an objective of including more older people at the labor market, this is one investment priority that could be chosen. And self-employment, entrepreneurship is also one possibility. Adaptation of workers and enterprises and entrepreneurs to a change in order to keep older people at the labor market, assuring that their education is being updated along the lines so that they can stay at the labor market. What is also focused on in the social fund is promoting social inclusion, combating poverty and any discrimination. And here we also have various different strands, investment priorities. So we have the active inclusion, which is also focusing a lot on improving the employability, and where you can also have the older workers included under this one. There's some of them that might not be so much focused for active aging, which is, for example, the socioeconomic integration of marginalized communities. This is more focused on very disadvantaged groups, like Roma and marginalized groups. There's also the enhancing access to affordable, sustainable and high quality services, where we could imagine that there could be a focus on the healthcare system. The promoting of the social entrepreneurship and vocational integration in social enterprises is also one of the investment priorities that could be used to include older people. And the community-led local development strategies is an investment priority where it's possible to have a much closer link with the local level, and where the managing of the projects and the priorities would happen at local level and not in a regional level, as is in many cases, as is happening in many cases. Also, investing in education training and vocational training for skills and lifelong learning is one of these areas where active aging can be covered, and it's mainly maybe not so much the reducing and preventing early school leaving, but more enhanced equal access to lifelong learning for all ages. And so here also you have a possibility to have a target on active aging. And the last one that I just show you for the sake of the completeness is the enhancing institutional capacity of public authorities and stakeholders and efficient public administration. And here there is focus on the investment in institutional capacity and capacity building for stakeholders. So also for beneficiaries and for people that for organizations that would like to answer to calls, how can you deal with and access in fact ESF, and how do you make a proposal? Because this is the next thing. Now you've seen what we have of thematic objectives, what are the possibilities in various areas, and as you see, there is the direct focus on active aging, but there is also what we call the mainstreaming, which means that you go into another investment priority, for example, with the focus to access to employment, where older people can be a group under this together with other groups. The European Social Funds are done in a shared management, so it's a partnership. It's a partnership between the member states, so the managing authorities as they are defined in the member states, and also the Commission, where the Commission is more setting up the regulatory framework and the guidelines, whereas all the partnership agreements and the operational programs are done by the national authorities, and after they have been drafted in the member state, whereas the member states are also supposed to have a partnership with stakeholders in the member state, and a social dialogue in whichever way it takes place in the member state. Then it's sent to the Commission, and then there's a negotiation going on between the Commission and the member state to assure that the operational programs and the partnership agreements, the partnership agreement you can see as a strategy for the member state on how to use the funds, and the operational programs are those giving the actual actions and programs that will be focused on, and the choice of investment priorities, because not all member states are choosing all investment priorities. There's a focus on certain investment priorities, but we need to make sure that they are the right ones, looking at what are the challenges for the member state. So therefore there is a negotiation going on, and for the time being the negotiation is going on, and there's not so many of the operational programs that are adopted yet. All 28 partnership agreements have been adopted, but the operational programs are still being discussed. You can see on the website that I will give you later which ones are adopted and which not. But as I also said in the beginning, there are the country-specific recommendations, and the ESF regulation is bound to this. It's not the sole challenges that we should focus on, because member states might also find that they have other challenges, but these ones should be covered, or at least there should be a reason why these have not been chosen. For example, if you have many country-specific recommendations, you have to choose, because you have a certain amount of money to use, and you have to choose the right challenges to target. And where we are now, as I said, it's a negotiation between the member state and the Commission, and this means that the negotiation process in the member state should have taken place and is kind of finished right now. And it's not so easy for NGOs or other organizations to change the operational programs as they look now. It's more fine-tuning that we're doing. But what is going to happen afterwards is that there will be calls for proposal from the managing authorities, and you can see at our website, which I think is here. So the first one, there you can see the managing authorities. You can have if you use the link, you will find all the addresses of the managing authorities in all the member states, and there you will be able to see which calls they will have. But first, you would have to check whether the member state or whether the region, because there will be several operational programs for the member states if there are several regions. Then you will have to check whether these have been adopted already, and what are the calls that are going to be launched or have been launched. You can also, on this website, you can also see some projects that have been carried out already in the former period 2007-2013, and from there you can get an idea what kind of projects are being financed. And I checked a bit, there seems to be 60 projects under active aging. So if you go to the website and you can see projects, you type in active aging, and then you have various different projects, and then you can see many of them are on self-employment, as far as I could see. But it's really up to the member state which kind of projects they would like to have, and so you would have to look at the calls and see how you would be able to answer to a call and have contact with with the managing authority and the countries. So I think that would be it. Ready to answer any questions.
Thank you, Annette, for your presentation. So if you have questions, please write them down, and we can then start asking the speakers to answer your questions. I know there is a question about the Active Aging Summit, which Horst and Evelyn will give further details in a couple of minutes. But if you have questions about the European Social Funds, go ahead. Well, Horst, if you want to give a few words in the meantime while people are typing the questions, if you have some words about the Active Aging Summit, so you can maybe give some details at the while now.
Yes. Well, basically, preparations are ongoing, so there is no sort of official program yet or anything. But the general idea is to have sort of use the opportunity of also the new commission to put the focus on the topic of active and healthy aging. So it will be a large-scale event. We're aiming at 3,000 to 5,000 participants here in Brussels, and with several streams on research, on innovation, on what we call the silver economy, so business opportunities in active and healthy aging, and also sort of a political element to it, involving member states, regions, and also local administration. So that's the general framework, and we think that this is a good opportunity to bring sort of new developments and new sort of ideas there. For example, these calls from the Joint Programming Initiative. I don't know if you have anything to add.
Yeah, we're also looking at then a conference on sorry, it doesn't matter. We're also looking to develop more a conference on innovative financing in the possibly around April, May, but again, details about that. And there we wanted to look more at, again, as age-friendly environments is a more cross-cutting theme, possibly looking at more there, opportunities for leveraging finance there, also for public procurement and other innovative financing tools, but again, very preliminary stage, and more details will be announced in 2015.
Thank you. Annette, I think there was a question from Lena. She would like to know if there is an interaction between the regional managing authorities and the European Commission, more related to the content, if there is any discussion to see what priorities is more important for a certain region, or does she decides?
Well, in fact, there is interaction because the European Commission is negotiating all the operational programs, and as an operational program, for example, in Germany, is for each land, then the interaction is with the managing authority, which means that the negotiation takes place between the European Commission and the region. And it is also on the content level is because we are looking at what kind of investment priorities have been chosen, what has been described in the investment priority. Does this investment priority in fact target the content that is necessary? So the challenges that have been set out both in the country-specific recommendations, but also in the description in the partnership agreement, that is also an agreement between the two bodies. So it's not only at national level; it's also at the regional level. And then there was one thing that I maybe forgot to mention as well, is that now my colleagues mentioned also the Horizon 2020, the COSME, the Erasmus, and it's all member states and in all operational programs there is an obligation to mention how the SF is done in coordination and cooperation with these other funds, in order to assure, first of all, that there is no overlap, but that they are. So I hope I answered to that question.
And what kind of stakeholders could apply for funds, for the European social funds, for example?
Well, I suppose in principle, everybody that feels that they have the right background and have a project that is answering to the call can apply. It's the managing authority that is setting up an evaluation committee to choose the project, and on a longer term perspective, the Commission is also participating in monitoring all the projects to assure that the funds are used in an efficient way, and to assure also that the projects are in fact being carried out in the way that they were carried out in the answer to the call.
Words, let's say SMEs, research in universities, and maybe civil society can, for example, apply to get any funds, right?
Yeah, they can. You can say that maybe research universities depends a little bit on the call. The SF is in many cases very much hands-on, but there might be cases where it's necessary to make an analysis and to develop some things that might be used in the future. But I have the impression with ESF things are very much practical, and it's to assure that people are getting into employment. There could of course be training courses. In research might not be so interested in that.
Thank you for your answer. There's another question now from Camille for Evelyn. So she has a question about Erasmus Plus. I think there's a little confusion maybe because Erasmus Plus is generally linked with young people. So how do you link Erasmus Plus with the elderly citizens in this case?
Well, actually, yeah, Erasmus Plus, if you read the guide, is a bit broader, because I picked out two areas which would be relevant. One is that is currently open, so they're looking at grants of between 700,000 to 1 million to improve Europe's innovation capacity in education, business, and broader socio-economic environment. And within that, there's one aspect called knowledge alliances, and there the European Commission is supporting Europe's innovation capacity in higher education, business, and the broader socio-economic environment, as I said. And then, oops, sorry, this kind. And then there's also sector skills alliances, and these are transnational projects drawing on evidence of trends in a specific economic sector and skills needed in order to perform in one or more professional skill fields. So these are designing and delivering joint vocational training programs, teaching and training methodologies. So sectors, one of which is healthcare, another is tourism, and another is information and communication technology.
To the microphone, please.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, if you look at Erasmus Plus and the guide, if you read it closely, you will notice that a part of it does relate to innovation and building up innovation capacity in education, business, and socioeconomic environment. So the contexts are quite broad in that sense. One of the sectors is Knowledge Alliance, and that supports innovation capacity in higher education, business, and broader socioeconomic environment. And there's another targeting Sector Skills Alliance, which is on transnational projects, drawing evidence on trends in specific economic sectors. And sectors are relevant for this would be tourism, healthcare, and ICT. So there is scope if you do see within that. But obviously, again, Erasmus Plus, it's not about young people only and mobility of young people. It's also about education and building capacity there as well. So I think if you look at the guide closer as well, and obviously that website they're just developing as the call for proposals for 2015 have been announced, but the website around it is still being developed.
Thanks, Evelyn. There was another question from Madalena again. Could somebody explain what is the link between, for example, European Social Fund, from where is it coming, and for example, Horizon 2020, where is it, by who is it funded, who is managing the funds, for example, compared to the European, and what is the link between the European programs and the European Social Fund?
Well, I can answer to to part of this. As I said, member states are supposed to explain both in the partnership agreement and in the ESF, the operational program. Sorry, what is the link between the social funds and the other programs under in EU? And then it's up to the member state to set up the kind of structure, who is managing what, and how is the cooperation. In some cases, it's the same authorities that are managing the different programs, and but we try to assure that that it's not that there's no link between. No, we try to assure that there is a link between the programs by having it in the partnership agreements and the operational programs. Exactly, I must say I do not really know whether the Horizon 2020 is managed by the managing authorities or others, but this we might be able to get from my colleagues.
Yeah, I think I can come in here. As Madalena now says, alignment in terms of content. This obviously takes place, let's say, Horizon in general is governed by what is called a specific program, and so the overall topics under fields that the funding goes into are set. But as I mentioned, then every 2 years there's a new work program. And obviously what we're trying to do is sort of content-wise to align this also with the other instruments that are around in the sort of EU ecosystem, if you like. And these programs are revised after 1 year, so there is sort of an annual check for the relevance and the pertinence of the content of the work programs. I think it's a good point that you're raising here. So this ensuring the consistency between the different lines, but obviously Horizon is a research innovation funding program that has its own budget line, which is preset. There is an overall budget, and of course it's a different sort of type of funding instrument, whether you're going for a pure research project or innovation project, or something that really funds and falls under Horizon, or tapping into the European social funds. But again, the content consistency is something that is looked at very closely, and we also get the feedback from the member states if something's going wrong in the drafting of the work program. So we're aiming at that, and we count on the stakeholder feedback as well if that works. So just to repeat it, that the biannual work programs are the sort of measure to ensure this. Was there another question?
No, I think there are no more questions anymore. So let's say, for example, Augustine that I know that I've met, who is working in the accessibility domain of age-friendly environments. What would be, for example, interesting for him at the moment?
Or
Can you say it again?
So I met, for example, a little SMEs in Spain. He is working in the accessibility for elderly persons, but also disabled people. It can be for housing, public area. But where could he find some information if he would like to develop his business or make some collaboration at the EU level?
Yeah, from our perspective, there are several points. It depends really on the targets. Maybe this is the opportunity to mention also a new instrument in Horizon 2020, which is the SME instrument, basically that aims at small, medium-sized enterprises, basically to help them get their ideas and their products on the into the market. It's with small funds, and this is say the participation is a lot easier here because you can apply for funding there as a single entity, so as a single SME, for example, and get one of those small grants. And they are this instrument is also say dispersed over all types of content fields in Horizon. So you can check the participant portal again. Just for the specific instrument, that would be something. If you're an SME and you are struggling to sort of get your product or your idea on the market, this would be something to look at as well. And from a more content perspective, again, if you're looking for partners, if you're looking for collaboration, if you want to sort of scale up something that you think is a good idea, it's always welcome to join in our field, in the active aging field, the EIP, the European Innovation Partnership, because you will find like-minded people there. That would be something I would recommend. And otherwise, of course, in terms of content and research funding, as I said during my presentation, a thorough on the different sections is what I would go.
There's another question from Andy. So, are you or have you got expectation about technology readiness levels for PHC 21 or PHC 25?
Yeah. Obviously, as I mentioned, with the more sort of open core challenge-based approach that we're taking in Horizon, we would not sort of recommend any technology readiness levels or say what we expect. That is something for the evaluators then, for the external evaluators of the proposals then to assess. So there's no sort of target that we're setting. But I think, Andy, this is something that might be worthwhile actually an official question to us. If you send this by email, we would take it into the FAQ. I think that's something that many people would wonder what they could go for, and we can then clarify this as a sort of open answer.
And again, another question from Andy. Are there any expectations from the size of end users testing what is going to happen?
The size of end user testing with PhD 21. Yes, I think you were referring to last year, where we maybe there's a difference there as well, because we were talking, I think, for the last round also about pilot projects. So there's obviously a difference there, because both PhD 21 and PhD 25 are research and innovation actions. But again, for sort of a definitive answer, an official answer for this, I would ask you to we can put it on the portal.
Okay, thank you. There looks like to be 2 more questions.
Thanks, Andy.
Well, if there are no more questions, I think the webinar is now ready to end. Thank you very much to Evelyn, Horst, and Annette. Would you like to give a last word to summarize the whole webinar, or?
Well, thanks to you for bringing it together. I think it shows there's a lot of interest, obviously, in getting more information and trying to find out what the latest calls are. We take this into account that there's a huge demand for this webinar as well. So I think it's a credit to you for bringing that together under the AFE INNOVNET project. So a lot of good work there, and I think this is something to be taken up. Again, as we mentioned, we've got a summit next year in March, and also we've got a conference on innovative financing that we're looking at as well, so stay tuned for that.
Mm-hmm. Same for me, also thanks a lot, Nu, and also for participants, look out for further webinars. And one other point, if, in the context of Horizon, if you're interested in more information there as well, there are also national information events, information days. So in your respective countries, look out for announcement of those, where you can also meet people who are in charge of specific calls, and you can talk to them. So for
Annette, would you like to give a last?
Yeah, the last thing, as I have tried to say all the way through, I can say it very directly. If you think you have interesting projects that you would like to bring forward, I would advise you to really look at find out who is the managing authority and where you are living, and find out what are the calls, and see whether there are some of them where you would be able to get one of your projects in. Because the aim is really that ESF is used in an efficient way and is targeting things.
Thank you very much for this wrap up. So the slides will be sent to you, and the link as well to the recording. Regarding the next webinars, there will be one about the assessment of the socioeconomic impact of age-friendly environment in January, and another one in February about age-friendly tourism. We hope to be able to invite somebody from DG Enterprise to give some information about the tourism calls about age-friendly. But more information will be uploaded on the website of AFE INNOVNET. Thank you much to all of you to join us today, and we hope